It is generally believed that Cleopatra was the last pharaoh in Egyptian history. But this notion is only superficial. The real story is much deeper and older, with its fabric intertwined with African heritage and ancient Egyptian civilization. Origins. The foundations of the rise and fall of the Kemites. The Kemites, which we know today as ancient Egypt, were a great and magnificent civilization. This civilization, located on the banks of the Nile River, gifted the world with knowledge, skills, and culture. But a battle in 525 BC, known as the Battle of Pelusium, proved to be the beginning of the decline of the Kemites. The Battle of Pelusium, the cunning of sacred animals. In this war, the Persian army used a unique tactic. They painted images of cats and other sacred Egyptian animals on their shields, which the Egyptians considered gods. This tactic succeeded in instilling fear in the hearts of the Kemite soldiers, and the Persian army conquered the Kemites. Who was the last pharaoh? Cleopatra is known to have been the last pharaoh of Egypt, but the truth is that Cleopatra was the heiress of a Greek dynasty, known as the Ptolemies. The original Egyptian pharaohs, known as the Kemet, migrated to other parts of Africa after this war. Evidence of African heritage. Recent genetic and archaeological research has proven that the ancient Egyptian people were related to the current black African peoples. African traditions are clearly visible in their language, culture and arts. Migration and inheritance. After the Peloponnesian War, the Kemet took refuge in other parts of Africa. They took with them knowledge, arts and culture, which also influenced other parts of Africa. Their influence can still be seen in the traditions and customs of African countries today. Conclusion. The legacy of a great civilization. The story of Kemet is not just the story of an ancient civilization, but a symbol of African heritage and unity. This story teaches us that history is not just a collection of kings and wars, but the legacy of people who preserved their identity and influenced the world. This story will force you to look at the African heritage of ancient Egypt from a new perspective. Its effects can still be seen in African culture and society today. The last pharaoh of ancient Egypt is a figure shrouded in mystery and intrigue. For centuries, historians have debated the circumstances surrounding their downfall. Was it a result of internal power struggles, or was it due to external pressures from invading forces? One thing is certain. The last pharaoh's story is a fascinating one that sheds light on the final days of ancient Egypt. The last pharaoh is believed to be Cleopatra VII, a member of the Ptolemaic dynasty that ruled Egypt after the death of Alexander the Great. She was a skilled diplomat and strategist who sought alliances with powerful Roman leaders, including Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Despite her achievements, Cleopatra's reign was marked by turmoil and power struggles. Her relationships with these Roman leaders were as much about politics as they were about romance. The cultural context of her era was one of increasing globalization and change. The traditional Egyptian way of life was giving way to new influences and ideas. However, Cleopatra's efforts to preserve Egypt's independence ultimately failed, and her reign ended in tragedy. The final blow to the last pharaoh's reign came in 30 BCE, when Octavian, later known as Augustus Caesar, defeated Mark Antony and Cleopatra in the Battle of Actium. The following year, Octavian's forces invaded Egypt, and Cleopatra took her own life, allegedly by allowing a poisonous asp to bite her. This marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and the beginning of the Roman period in Egypt. The loss was not just a personal tragedy but a pivotal moment in history that would shape the course of the Mediterranean world. The challenges faced by the last pharaoh were numerous. Political unrest was rampant, with various factions vying for control of the empire. The Egyptian empire was in decline, and the pharaohs struggled to maintain its vast territories. Foreign invasions were also a major threat, with the Persians and Greeks constantly probing Egypt's borders. These external pressures only added to the pharaoh's woes. As the empire crumbled, the pharaoh faced opposition from within. Priests, nobles, and other powerful groups questioned their authority, leading to a series of brutal power struggles. Despite these challenges, the last pharaoh still managed to achieve some remarkable feats. They invested in grand architectural projects, including temples and monuments that would be remembered for eternity. The cultural context of the last pharaoh's era was one of great upheaval. The old traditions were being challenged by new ideas and influences from abroad. The pharaoh's own family was also a source of turmoil, with sibling rivalries and dynastic struggles weakening the empire from within. All these factors contributed to the tragic end of the last pharaoh. The final blow came when the pharaoh made a fateful decision to engage in a disastrous battle. The enemy was too strong, and the Egyptian army was no match for their superior numbers and tactics. The battle was a catastrophe, and the pharaoh's fate was sealed. In the aftermath of the battle, the pharaoh's legacy was all but erased. Their name was stricken from the records, and their achievements were forgotten. Yet, despite this deliberate attempt to erase their memory, the last pharaoh's story remains an important part of ancient Egypt's history. The story of the last pharaoh serves as a reminder of the transience of power and the impermanence of even the greatest civilizations. Their tragic end is a testament to the complex interplay of internal and external factors that can lead to the downfall of an empire. The key moment that marked the end of the pharaoh's reign was her death, which occurred on August 12, 30 BCE. According to historical accounts, Cleopatra died by allowing a poisonous asp to bite her, rather than submit to the Romans. This dramatic and tragic end has captivated historians and the public imagination for centuries. The last pharaoh's story is a fascinating chapter in the history of ancient Egypt. By examining their achievements, struggles, and ultimate demise, we gain a deeper understanding of the forces that shaped this ancient civilization. So, what do you think happened to the last pharaoh of ancient Egypt? Share your theories in the comments below. If you're interested in learning more about ancient Egypt, be sure to check out my video on the mysterious disappearance of the Egyptian navy for more insights into this enigmatic civilization.